Welcome to this edition of this particular Flippinar, how to wholesale houses without cash or credit, step by step. If you're not aware who I am, my name is Ty, aka the Flip Man. You can do more research on me on the YouTube just by simply doing a search for the Flip Man. But if you made it to this particular Flippinar, hopefully you'll learn something to add on to your journey. Putting deals together. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen here. Okay, guys, wholesaling houses, no cash or credit, step by step. Today's topic, estimated repair cost. This is a huge topic for a lot of people, and putting a deal together, they don't understand what repairs are. But what you have to realize is that you don't have to be an expert. You just need to understand you need to have a ballpark figure on that part of the equation as far as figuring out whether you have a deal or not. If you're a first timer here, we will have a question and answer period after the course, after the Flippinar ends, or after I go over the topics and a few other things, will be an option there for you all to ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. So to take tonight's topic, estimating repair cost. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, just to do some house cleaning. Attorney advisors that just say this disclaimer. Most people know this. You're not going to make $10,000 a month if you don't do anything. It's just not going to fall out of the sky. Wish it did. $10,000 probably wouldn't be as valuable if it did fall out of the sky. Okay, so before we get in too deep here, just an incentive to stick around to the end. We'll give away 2 free courses, wholesaling houses and apartments. No coaching. You just get the actual courses. 2 free courses on wholesaling houses and apartments. I think 2 of the guys that have run the bandit signs before, if either one of you all are on the call or you hear this again, just hit me up. I don't think they went out. It was election season, and the sign company was having trouble getting that stuff out, and I think they still backed up. But if you hit me up, I'll just give you 2 courses that is actually more valuable than the bandit sign. So just as a reminder. So anyway, so just stick around at the end. As I said, there will be a Q&A, a question and answer, where I answer your questions at the end of the Flippinar. So just stick around, and also I'll give away 2 free courses at the end also. All right, I wanted to get into this, just a quick opportunity to make a little money. If you know someone, if you already are doing deals or have a buyers list where you have buyers that are building a rental portfolio or have one already, turn them on to transitioning or adding on to what they're already doing, from doing multifamily here and single family house. They may have a bunch of them, but the opportunity is that they can also get into this side of it where they're leasing out properties to Walgreens or Burger King or companies of that type. And why would they want to do that? Well, traditional cash flow comes from houses. As I said, multifamily. You have multiple tenants. The landlord has to pay the taxes. They pay insurance. They pay for maintenance. Then they have to handle evictions as they come. Whereas with a triple net tenant, the cash flow, you have one tenant, such as the Walgreens, Burger King, Subway, Advanced Auto Parts, Starbucks, Walmart. You get the picture. The tenant, you have one tenant. The tenant pays the taxes. The tenant pays insurance. Tenant pays for maintenance. No evictions, with a corporate guarantee in a lot of cases. Sometimes it's a franchisee, but with a corporate guarantee on a long-term lease. And let me define long-term. Normally starts with 10 years. Can be even 15, 20 years. So it's not a 6-month lease like over here or a year lease. You get in a long-term guarantee. And what that simply means, in order for them not to get paid, Walgreens would have to go out of business altogether. Even if that location that they own Walgreens decided to close it down, and it had 5 years left on the lease. They still would pay out those 5 years. That's the great thing about it. So for you, what's in it for you? It's an opportunity for you to refer maybe a buyer or someone you know to make an easy $10,000 if they buy one of the properties that we have available. I think we'll have a Rite Aid, a Burger King, and a Family Dollar available here in the next week or so, probably shortly after Thanksgiving. All right, now, if you want to get on the side of it where you're actually learning how to do those deals as myself and quite a few students are that I'm working with, just to break that down for you before I get into the actual course option tonight, the course topic tonight, Flippinar topic, is well, you have wholesaling houses over here, and you have wholesaling triple net buildings here. So wholesaling commercial buildings like wholesaling houses. On this side, you find value by finding a deal, negotiating an attractive deal, placing it on the contract. You advertise for a buyer. You find a buyer, and you assign it and make $5,000 plus. Over here, find a property that's vacant or even occupied, which I can get into more of that in the actual training and whatever, but even vacant or even occupied, it may already be a Walgreens or a Burger King there. There's still opportunity there. Matter of fact, it's easier to do it that way if they're already there for you still to wholesale that deal. All right, you place it under contract, and I'll show you how to place it under contract with no earnest money from you. You add value by either negotiating an attractive deal where the value of the property goes up because you increase the time frame that's left on the current lease, or just the price that you negotiate. Find a buyer, you assign it, $30,000 plus. More about that at flipthisbuilding.com if you want to sign up, be a student, and work with me directly on putting those types of deals together. All right, my goal here tonight, whether you are already involved in real estate or you know nothing about it, as I didn't know anything about it 14 years ago, almost 14 years ago now. My goal here tonight is to, number one, educate you on what is wholesaling and is it something that you need to be doing. So what is wholesaling? Wholesaling is finding where the money is and figure out where it's going, and you standing in the middle of it and being showered with a few $1,000s in cash. To break that down even more, you locate a property, find a great deal, and you negotiate a great deal, or it may be a great deal just from the price, advertise it. Well, first you find a property, place it under contract, advertise for a buyer, and assign the deal over to your buyer. Some people would do a double close. So you locate the property, negotiate a great deal. You have to know what a great deal is, but we're assuming you will. Place it under contract with the seller. Advertise the property. That means that you don't even have to have a buyer. This is the point I'm making here. Buyer steps up, so they want the property at a higher price than what you have your contract with the seller. You go into contract with a higher price with your buyer. You get paid via an assignment fee or double close. That's a wholesale transaction. Find out where the money is. You know where it's going. You stand in the middle. That's how you make money. No money, and you're no money out of your pocket. All right, so you ask yourself, is this something that I should be doing? Well, a student of mine in Memphis, which I'm not sure if you ran into the video on my YouTube channel, he placed an ad on Craigslist, something I've never had any success with, but he placed an ad on Craigslist. Seller called him, they negotiated the deal. He placed it on the contract, gave them a $10 earnest money deposit. Within 25 days, $6,444.40. Return on investment for that $10 earnest money deposit, 64,344% is an ROI, which is a ridiculous amount for an ROI, but that's the way wholesaling works. All right, so just a little bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur first. Real estate is just the way I've been able to make a decent amount of money over the last few years. But I was an entrepreneur back in my early 20s, and I don't even know where it started. I just don't remember how my mentality changed from wanting to work somewhere to wanting people to work for me. Okay, so but long story short, I like to throw this in because this relates to a lot of people. I've tried a lot of different things to make money and haven't been successful at a lot of it. Now, just before I go any further, just a couple of people, just if you can hear me, just make sure so I'm not sitting there blabbing and no one's listening because I have my screen up. So just send me a quick note, I'll see it if you can still hear me. But good. All right, so was in college, thought I had a great idea taking my student loan money and buying cars, used cars, got a dealer's license, was going to dealer auctions. And what I didn't realize was that you need to really, really be mechanically inclined or have someone partner with that is, or you would get your hat handed to you at those dealer auctions because they will make a 10-year-old car look brand new and it will be a flat out piece of junk. So you wasted money. So I got burnt in that. Okay, came up with a great idea after going to Daytona Beach in 1995 on spring break that I wanted to do a mobile car wash off of a recommendation from one of my brother's friends that was very successful with it in the Orlando area. So when I got back to Birmingham, I couldn't wait to go out and buy me a $900 van. It was a passenger van where the seats were removed. I think it was a 100-gallon tank to place my water, and then a pressure washer. Hey, I was ready to rock and roll. So I showed up at barbershops, hair salons, places of employment, and I was washing people's cars. And I was making money doing it. But the problem was it was great in the summer, even though it got really hot. I can handle that. When the weather changed and when you wake up in the morning, it's 30 degrees or 40 degrees. Water doesn't feel good when it's splashing on you in those temperatures. So that didn't work out. So moved on to some multi-level marketing stuff, network marketing. I'm not a salesperson. I know it may seem that I am, but I'm really an introvert in reality. But I like eating, so I do what I have to do, and that's so I know how to communicate with people. As far as my resources and my background and what I know how to do. So that didn't work out for me. But before I got into real estate, I was involved with prepaid legal, which I think is called Legal Shield now. And one of my friends friends and his wife were going to school to become real estate agents. And the guy that normally taught the class was absent, and the substitute for that particular night didn't talk about being an agent. He talked about investing in real estate. And a lot of people think that when you become a real estate agent, you become an investor. No, you don't. You become a real estate agent, which can not have anything to do with investing in real estate. But he talked about creative ways of investing in real estate, no money down. So my friend told me some of the things that he was talking about, and it interested me. That was in October of 2002. I didn't act on it at that time. A couple of months later, I was at my mom's house for Christmas, and I was up early that morning waiting on her to prepare breakfast, and I saw Carlton Sheets, no money down infomercials. Caught one of them halfway through the infomercial. As you know, they didn't really tell you anything. Just, I made this much money, but how did you make the money? And so I just went up the dial a little bit and watched one from beginning to end. So that inspired me to act on what my friend was telling me about. So back then, my mom didn't have internet at her house. And so I waited till I got back to Birmingham, and I went to this entrepreneur message board online called ablake.net. I'm not sure if it's still up. And asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? Only one person replied, and he said, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand's course is better. Did a search for Ron's information, found his website, and so it was almost $1,500 for his package of courses. So at that time, it was a lot of money. It was still a lot of money, but definitely back then. And I didn't have it. So what they had was a condensed version of the course for $69.99, and with shipping, it was $80. So I ordered that. It was in cassette form. So that's how long it's been. So I got those, and all those were teasers I guess, to motivate you to, hey, this is something I think I can do, which I really felt that way. So I had made up my mind if I had to work a second job to save that $1,500 to get the full course, I was going to do that. So a couple of days later, I thought about eBay, and I did a search for his name, and yes, his name. There was auction there, a couple of auctions on that very course that he had advertised on his website. And so I lost the auction, and back then you could eBay sellers could contact bidders through email. And so the guy contacted me, and he said I could get a burnt copy for it in less than what the auction the auction winner got it for. So we agreed on $400. Still was a sacrifice for me, but I felt there was something that I needed to do to change my financial situation. So I got the course. Took me about 3 weeks to go through it because there was information overload. I went from knowing zero about real estate to at least being educated on wholesaling, retailing, subject to lease options, for sale by own, I think was one of the modules, and it was just information overload. So I was still confused, but if I didn't get anything out of the information that I listened to, I understand that I need to use bandit signs to get my phone ringing. That attracted me, so because I don't have to contact people contact me. And then the other thing is that wholesaling really stood out to me, and I guess lease options were second. So I had to wait a little while to buy some signs. I overspent for those. I spent $250 for 50 bandit signs. I think I can get 250 signs for that amount now. But anyway, I didn't know any better. I was still green in the game. So I put those out on a Sunday morning. I started getting calls that Monday. And I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody this way, but this is what happened to me. The first 2 calls I received were deals. One of them was a lease option opportunity. The other one was a wholesale opportunity. The lease option opportunity presented itself first, and the lady responded and gave me, a tenant buyer, negotiated with the idiot seller, and I advertised the property. And I'll say the idiot seller, I'll tell you in a minute why I say that. Advertised the property and got a lady. She gave me $5,000 at what used to be an old Charlie's on Center Point Parkway in Birmingham. Those of you that may be listening to this in the ham, you know what I'm talking about. It's not there anymore, but it used to be there. Wow, I was amazed. I just was amazed that someone would do that. Long story short, the guy that owned the property, he could do some handiwork, and there were a few repairs that the tenant buyer wanted done to the property before she moved in. So I said, Mr. Whatever his name, I forget what his name was. He could do some handiwork, blah, blah, blah. I just thought I was just a win-win-win for everybody. Long story short, the deal blew up in my face once the guy found out I was getting a down payment of $5,000. He thought he was due half of that. So basically he threw the lady off the property when he met her there to talk about the repairs. So Tyrone didn't own this property, blah, blah. So she called me just crying because she had thought she had been scammed. So I told her where was she right then? I'll come and bring her money. And that was like, I had already spent $700 of it, I think. So I had to replace that. So I ended up giving her money back, called the seller. We got into it. I found out he was a preacher. I cussed him out. He cursed me, blah, blah, blah. So the other call that I received were 2 sisters. Their mom passed away. Like a lot of people, we're not going to sell mom's house. We have a lot of memories there, blah, blah, blah. And they tried to rent it out for a few years to some relatives. And, of course, relatives think they don't have to pay you. That was the worst people to rent to, is relatives and just people that you know. And so they were tired of being landlords. So they called me. We agreed on $20,000. And at that time, I didn't even know if that was a deal or not. And I advertised the property as instructed in the course in the newspaper, which that's really not a viable way of advertising now, but back then it was. And so a realtor called me and said he had a client that was a cash buyer, and the guy would pay $25,000 for it. So the realtor said, hey, I can let you have this buyer. He's ready to rock and roll, and this is his area, but you're going to have to split your assignment fee with him, because I explained to him what I was doing. And I said, cool. So instead of making $5,000, I made $2,500. So I met those guys in a parking lot. They were in flip flops and tank tops, and gave me. We signed a contract. They gave me a $500 earnest money. A week later, so we closed at his attorney's office. I picked up a check for $2,500. For a lot of people, that's not a lot of money back then or now, whatever. But for me, it was like it was $250,000 because I had failed at so many other things that, this was a validation that, hey, Tyrone, you may have a real opportunity to make some life-changing money. And so over the next 12 months, did 10 deals or so. I still was working my full-time job. So that was March of 2003, March 5th, 2003, when I did that first deal. So I still worked a whole nother 3 years on my full-time job. And I probably could have quit in that first 12 months, but I was afraid to from a previous experience. And so it just got to a point where the job was just getting in the way of me making more money. So that's been over 10 years ago, and I've been still going strong. Then had some dips in times, you know what I'm saying? Some of it's my fault, some of it's not, or whatever. But, the money's always there to be made if I do what I'm supposed to do. So I dropped the mic May 1st, 2006. I went through a lot of this as far as the number of businesses I've tried to do. I'm from a small town of less than 1,000 people. Matter of fact, I checked it the other day because I was trying to compare where I live to a property that I was evaluating, a Dollar General. And that town is larger than my town. It was like 786 people. And the town I'm originally from has, from the most recent census, a population of 584 people. Now I live in a much larger city now. Birmingham's over 1 million, so metro. But just letting you know that from a small town in Alabama, I'm no smarter than you are. But what I may be that may be a little different than most people is that I'll take action. Now, sometimes that gets me in trouble or whatever as far as making some bad decisions, but I'm not afraid to take action. That's the only way things are going to happen, whether you're going to fail or succeed. Action has to be taken. So as I went over a lot of this, I discovered the hard way, as many of you have, and then you realize that the hard way doesn't have to be hard. By just having the knowledge and understanding that knowing what you're talking about and knowing what you're doing, you're going to have an advantage over most people that you deal with. So you really get a cheat sheet if you understand what you're doing. Most people think they have to have tons of money to do real estate. That's why it never interests me. Because I had an entrepreneur spirit, but I thought you had to have a lot of money to do real estate. And I felt that even after I started doing houses, I still felt the same way about commercial real estate. And it's just amazing, man. You'll put these people on a pedestal and they don't know more than you in the sense of being creative and structuring deals. They may know numbers better than you. They may know the lingo better than you, but as far as actually putting deals together and knowing the psychology and the greed of people and how to use that to your favor to do deals, that's priceless. I'm realizing that every day as I work with three different students three different students on a daily basis on this commercial side of the business, is that, man, you can get $1 million offers accepted and don't have a dime invested in them. But not to get off track, but the point I'm making is that the knowledge part of it is so powerful, but the action part of it is even more powerful. So you have to have both in order for them to work, but you can't be afraid to make mistakes. The great thing about it, you're not going to lose money. You don't have anything at risk. Obviously, whether you're going to educate yourself in a free route or through me or whoever, once you do a deal, it's normally going to take care of all the money that you've ever spent on your education. There are not many businesses that you can start after the first deal you're in the black. So, I'm not a book reader, but I've read through enough books when I was just really on a research hunt for anything as far as either what I'm doing now as far as the residential or with commercial, it's rare you can get a book that's going to tell you everything. Normally, they're just an upsell. It is what it is. I'm not hating on what people do. It's just marketing. It's brilliant, but it's normally just an upsell. But most people, you're working a job that you're not happy with, which I wasn't. It wasn't a situation with me where I wasn't happy. It's just that I just wanted more because I was appreciative of my job. Going to college, I wouldn't take anything from my experience going to college because it helped me grow up and gain some responsibilities. And the people that I met, I won't give anything from. But did it really teach me anything as far as my goals, as far as wanting to be an entrepreneur and don't have a cap on the money that I can make? Yeah, sure. If I wanted to take my my history degree and become a school teacher or whatever, then yeah, I would have been. There's nothing wrong with that. My girlfriend is a school teacher, but that didn't fit me. But it was more important for me to finish college, to put a smile on my mom's face, than me using it to benefit me to produce a living or income or to be able to take care of a family or whatever. It was more important to put a smile on her face, because I disappointed her so bad earlier in my life that, I wanted to show her that all her hard work wasn't in vain. But anyway, as many of you have done, you've gone to seminars. I get people every week calling me, say, hey, I just left a seminar and I went online to do some additional research and I found you. Bam, I hate I spent that money. What do you want me to do at that point? But even after I was doing deals, I was going to the little free seminars because I was trying to see what I could pick up as far as maybe finding more deals. I was comfortable with the process itself. I was comfortable with the process of doing it. I just trying to find out other ways to do deals. And I could listen to the BS that's going on. Well, I hate to use that because I hate to hate on anybody, but I listen to the information because they're so vague, but I know because I was doing deals. I know exactly what they were talking about. Again, I was just looking for nuggets. And I actually bought a few courses. I didn't ever buy any seminar stuff, but I bought a few courses even after I was doing deals because I was still seeking knowledge. So I just got a message saying my screen stopped sharing. If you can see my screen still, please let me know now. So again, a lot of people, they've dived into my information. They've dived into other people's information. They're just on information overload. So, and I felt the same way, but again, information overload is not bad as long as you take action. I want to do another reminder. Stick around. 2 free courses will be given away. Wholesaling houses and apartments. No coaching. No coaching. You want to get coaching, flipman.net. Flipman.net. All right, let's get into it. Estimating repairs. Obviously, whenever you're trying to determine if you have a deal or not, part of the equation, the formula that a lot of people like to use is ARV, which is basically after repair value, meaning what will the house appraise for in excellent condition, minus repairs. The way I do it, minus my fee times 2, gives you a range on your offer range. Some people call it maximum allowable offer. I just call it offer range because even when I come up with that number, I still recommend offering lower than that. If put in a position to offer lower than that, they may give you a price that works for you, but you still can ask for more. So estimating repairs, but in order for you to know that you have a deal, you have to be able to walk into a house and know what it would possibly cost. And now there's no fixed number because if you were going to repair a house, you and I were going to repair the same house, and we said we're going to do it to retail the house, you would do it. You would do it one way, I would do another. So our cost is going to be different, but we just need a ballpark. Same thing with appraiser. You send 2 appraisers out to a house, they're going to come back with 2 values, but they should be close because of the data that they're using to come up with that number. But it's still somewhat of an opinion. All right, so estimated repairs. So let's get into this. All right. Square footage is important on a property because you can have it's a neighborhood in Birmingham where it's really a blue collar area. You might want quote unquote call it the hood, but the houses are so big that, we're talking about on average, they may be 2,500 to 3,000 square foot, but in a different part of town, the same type neighborhood, the same type perception. These are the neighborhoods you see on the news at night. You're not just being, I guess stereotypical. I'm just stating facts here in my city. But the houses may be a 60,000, 70,000. Well, we'll just say a $60,000 neighborhood. But those neighborhoods are still a $60,000 neighborhood, but because of the square footage of the houses, whereas in one area the houses may be 1,200 square feet on average, in that other neighborhood the houses are 3,000 square feet. So the more house is just going to cost more to repair. And I just wanted to make that clear on before I get into repairs, and just as a disclaimer, because these numbers may not work in all ways because of how large the house is. So we're just talking about normal sized houses, and the houses fit the area as far as the prices. All right, so you're gonna have roofs, heating and air, depending on if you're in the south or you're in the north or Midwest or the out west. Heating and air can be important and it cannot be important. Here, you need both. You need both. Whereas in Northeast, you can get away probably without air. In some parts of the Midwest, you can get away without air. You can't get it. You can obviously live here without air because I grew up in a house without air. But what I'm saying is that on the retail side of the game, you're fooling yourself if you're going to rehab a property and don't put heat and air in it. So it's all relative to your market and your climate in your market on average. So you have your beds and baths as far as repairs. I'm gonna get into these numbers here. I'm just trying to break down the things that you have to think about when rehabs are going on, when you're trying to estimate repairs. All right, then you have kitchens. You have paint, interior, exterior, windows, doors, floors, foundations. That's about the meats and the nuts and bolts of a house. You'll have countertops, light fixtures, cabinets, those things or whatever. But we won't get into that. Those are easy to figure out. Those are very easy to figure out just by with a tape measure. Okay, so the way I was taught to simplify, because I knew nothing about fixing a house and what it would cost, and I still really don't in the sense of actually doing it. But I do have a general idea of what it costs. So you're not going to have an exact number. You just need something to work with so you can to know if you have a deal or not. So you break it down into 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20, 25,000 increments. And again, that's going to be a lot of times all relative to a couple of things: the square footage of the house, but also what type of neighborhood it is. Now, if you're in a middle class or upper middle class house, it still may be a 1,200 square foot house, but in that $60,000 neighborhood, and we're talking about a $300,000 or $400,000 neighborhood, the repair cost is not going to be the same, because you're going to maybe want to go with hardwoods throughout, granite or marble through certain sections of the house, the windows that you use, the doors that you use, the light fixtures, the ceiling fans, all of that stuff will factor in as far as the increase in value of the repair costs. So this calculator that you're going to be able to access here online is going to show you, and it gives you those options. It's just a tool. It's not an exact number. Remember, just a tool to simplify it for you. As you can see here, the actual URL, the website address is remodelingcalculator.org. I'm going to go over there in just a second. But that's where you'll actually get, you'll come up with the numbers that you'll need to determine if you have a possible deal or not. So let me go ahead and get over there then. This is the site. I'm going to refresh it because I want this window to pop up, because you don't want to ask for a a contractor. It didn't pop up. Let me see here. But anyway, it's going to ask you, do you need a contractor? You want a free estimate? You say no. You just want to use the calculator down here. So it's remodelingcalculator.org. You know, you'll see that back here on the other page in a second. But all right, so you don't worry about the zip code up here. You just go down here to the actual calculator. So you'll need to know the square footage of some of this stuff. So if you're redoing an entire bathroom with toilet, sink, lights, plumbing, tile floors, tile on the wall, you know, so you uncheck what's there, what's needed. So we're going to assume you're going to do everything. So you're going to do a bathroom with an actual shower plus bathtub, or it just may be a shower. So it gives you those options. Really nice site. So the square footage is important to know. Now again, it's going to depend on if this is high end or blue collar, middle class, whatever. All those factors still will factor in, but it does give you some options to sort of figure that out. So the material quality, you can just have basic. So you know what that would mean: mid-range, high-end, luxury. So those are going to change the prices. Whether it's a new construction or remodel. In most cases, you're dealing with remodel existing properties, and then the national average. So I don't know why they do it like this, but it doesn't matter. So east, south, central, I guess that's the southeastern part of the country. New England, I guess that'll be up Boston, New York area, mid-Atlantic, east, north, central, midwest, right here, northwest, I guess Chicago area, whatever, Detroit, mountain, Pacific. So you see here. So for the sake of knowing what's what, this I guess would be my area. So if I want to do a bathroom, it's 140 square feet. So the estimate would be, the entire bathroom would be $8,590. All right. Now that comes with that's a new construction. I'm sorry. Let me do that. Okay, still same price. All right, so 8,590. I'm just going to go with the middle range here. I think that's a little high, but you'll roll with that number. So instead of saying 8,590, I would say 10,000. Just round it up to 10,000. You can always overestimate. That only helps you. You overestimate. So we're going to go with the mid range here. So now let's just do some floors. Do a little floor in here. So we're going to go with carpet. We're just saying this is in a low blue collar area. So we're just going all carpet. And we'll just say the house may be 1,600, 1,200 square feet. And we'll just say 1,000 of it needs carpet, right? Let's say 900 of it. 900 of it needs carpet. So materials, we're going to go with basic carpet. Remodel existing, no demo. We got the area in there. So $2,403. So instead of rounding that up to 5,000, now I would only do 2,500, which is half of 5,000. So I want to jump that far ahead. So I'll just say 2,500 there. Okay. So now let's just do let's do a little painting here. So we're going to do the interior. We'll say minimum surface repairs. You're going to paint the entire inside of the house. We said it was 1,200 square feet, right? So just basic remodeling, no demo. So boom. So $2,107. So we would say again $2,500. All right. So you get the picture here. So this just helps. The only thing you really need is square footage. So let's do windows. Let's do windows. So we're going to say replacement of windows, and we're just going to go with basic vinyl windows. All right. And say the house has 12 windows and no demo. We have other stuff. Okay. Boom. So it says $4,202. So round that up to $5,000. So you get the only thing you're doing is just counting the windows. That's the only thing you're doing, just counting the actual windows. All right, so there you go. that's how simple it is to calculate repairs. All right, so so again, we're going to break that down into 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20, 25. Now, what I do with my students is I get them to go out and video the property, upload to YouTube for two reasons. Upload to YouTube so I can help you and I can see what you're seeing along with the area in the house, exterior, interior, along with the neighborhood. But also that'll be the same video that you can use to text and email out to potential buyers. It saves you time, saves them time. Just use technology. It's free. Take the video. Most people have a smartphone. If you don't have one, you need to get one and video the property. And you upload to YouTube. All right, so I went over estimating repairs. We'll, again, answer some questions at the end of the Flippinar. But how can you make this a full-time income and replace your actual job that you may like or dislike, or you just want to add on additional? Because I was terrified when I quit mine for a second time. The answer is 3 to 5 deals per month. How to do 3 to 5 deals per month? You must, in my opinion, just from experience, dealing with other students around the country, you need to be talking to 3 to 5 people per day in order to do that many per month. Now, obviously, that's not a high percentage because you're talking about over a 30-day period, anywhere from 90 to 150 people over the course of a month. All right, and only operating on maybe like 3 to 5% success rate. But hey, you're not selling pencils. That may mean $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 every month. For most people, that changes their situation quickly. I'd like to term myself more so a marketer than a wholesaler because I have to get up and let people know I exist. That simplifies the business for me. And by people calling me versus me always calling people. I'm not saying don't do that, but if you want to take the frustration out of the business for most people, do your marketing, do effective marketing, and let people call you. So let's get into some real numbers here. Say if you did one deal per month and you average $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. Now that'll vary depending on where you are. Southern California, parts of Florida, obviously New York. Those numbers will go up tremendously. So we're just talking about on average. So we're just being conservative here, but you'll see some numbers you probably still will like. So if the deals average $5,000 to $7,000 per deal, and you do one deal per month, that's 12 per year. That's between 60 to 84,000 per year. Let's move that up to 2 deals per month. 5,000 to 7,000 per deal, 24 deals per year. That's 120 to 168,000 per year. Let's move that up to 5 deals per month. 5,000 to 7,000 per deal, 60 deals in a year. That's 300,000 to 420,000 per year. Again, they know your name at the bank. Don't forget, stick around. The free courses will be given out to someone that's logged in listening online, or if you called in, I try to keep it even there. If you need proof of funds, go to realpof.com. If you're doing a deal with real estate agents, it's the only way they're going to take you serious. I face that every day dealing with commercial. These proof of funds work on high 6 figures and 7-figure properties. So realpof.com if you need proof of funds. Now, I'm going to offer this at the end after I give away the free courses. You can get, I brought this back. I'm going to do 3 people. The 247, no one acted on that, so people begged me to drop it back down. So I'm going to do 3 more people tonight at the 197. So you can go to theflipman.com if you want to sign up. That's theflipman.com. You see it here. So I want to go ahead and get into the question and answering part of it. I'm going to stop the screen sharing for now. And boom. So hopefully you see the generic screen. So I'm open to questions. Anyone that, if any of y'all have questions. All right, Will. All right, someone says, will wholesaling work in cities where houses are not that expensive, like 30 to $85,000. Yeah, that's the way I've done most of my deals. Most definitely, you have more people on those type of houses. You have more investors that have 30, $40,000 laying around than they do 400, 500,000 laying around. So to answer your question, most definitely. But it doesn't matter where you are, a deal is a deal. A deal is a deal. It doesn't matter where you are. It's all relative. If you can find a deal in a $850,000 neighborhood, if you can get it for 450, oh, you can find a buyer for it quickly. Someone said, what do you use for skip tracing? Intellus.com is a really good site. Intellus.com, just do a search for there. What you have to do when you're doing skip tracing, a lot of times you have to target relatives and reach out to them to see if they know how to contact the owner of a property, and you give them some incentive to do so. Say someone says it's only 3 monthly payments. Yes, only monthly payments of $197 billed every 30 days. Someone said, what about mobile homes? Mobile homes are very definitely an option when you start talking about wholesaling. But mobile homes are different in the sense that they depreciate. And you have to understand that people have their titles in hand like cars. So you have to go about it differently than with houses. There's a process with houses, and it's difficult for buyers to go around you. With mobile homes, it's not that way. So it has to be approached differently. But to answer your question, as far as quick flips, mobile homes, you can do those quicker than houses because you don't have to go through the title process. What happens when I put my bandit signs out and have not received any calls? Without knowing exactly what you've done, it's difficult for me to tell you that, but the number of bandit signs that you put out, what do your bandit signs say? Where did you place them? How did you put them out? All of that factors in on why you're not receiving calls. Are they still up? All of that factors in. As far as direct mail, someone says, what website do you use to find deals? What list do you buy? I buy absentee lists from listsource.com or Melissa Data. If you're going to use ListSource, you must use PayPal, or they make it difficult to use a debit or credit card. Melissa Data does it, so you must use PayPal. You can get the list immediately. But I use listsource.com and target absentee owners. The reason I target absentee owners is that normally will encompass, your landlords, inherited properties, probate, and everything above. So absentee owners list. Not sure what absentee means, just Google it. Google is your friend. Google define absentee owner. A wholesaler keeps sending me deals to go in with him. How do I do it? He seems more experienced. Um, I only deal with other wholesalers. I treat them just like I treat a seller. They're gonna have to do it my way. And a lot of wholesalers are not gonna want to do that. So, but that's me on that. So I recommend just finding your own deal. If a deal comes your way with another wholesaler, so be it. But I recommend just finding your own deals. But again, if I deal with them, they're gonna have to do it the way I want to do it, which means I'm going to put it on the contract with them just like I would with a seller with $10. And if most wholesalers are not going to do that, which I don't blame them. Someone said, how do you find motivated sellers? You market yourself. We buy houses, signs, direct mail, online, social media. You have to let people know that you exist. I'm asking the question that someone says, how do you find motivated buyers? I'm sorry, motivated buyers. It's not hard to, what is that, Frederick, I think his name is. It's not hard to give away money, man. If you got a deal, it's not hard to give it away. I'm going to give you this scenario, and then people may be tired of me hearing, but this is the easiest way I can explain it. If you had a job and I had a job, it's not a trick question. You were on one street corner, I was on the other, and my job was, I had a sack with $50,000 in it, and my job was to give it away. Yours was, you had an empty sack, and you standing on the street corner, everyone passing by, whether on foot or in a car, you had to fill it with $50,000. Who has the easier job? I have the easier job because it's not hard to give away money. Those are buyers. You find a deal and advertise it, buyers will be begging you for it. You have to find a deal, a deal, not something for sale, but a deal. It's not hard to give away money at all. Someone says, when wholesaling mobile homes is to process the A and B contract. Mobile homes is different. It's difficult to do a mobile home deal in the same way with houses because the buyer can go around you so easy. So it's more of a timing thing, and you really have to have control of your seller. And that your buyer and seller really just can't meet. Let me just say that. In order for you to get paid, they just can't meet. In reality, again, you're going to have control over your buyer because even if they sign some paperwork with you, they still have that title in hand. They can make that transaction happen without you being there. You can't do that with houses without, it's just more difficult. Let me just say that. People can do anything, but it's just a lot more difficult. Someone said, can you give me an example of a lease option deal that you have done? Man, I haven't done a lease option in years. And the reason I don't, because I didn't like the management part of it. Now, you can wholesale a lease option, but I hadn't done one in years. I don't go back to it's been a long time since I did a lease option. Really not my thing, but again, you can wholesale though. I just don't like the management part of it. But simply put, what I looked for, and it really doesn't matter, but a lot of times you look for pretty houses. You can do it with ugly houses too. But you're looking for an owner that's motivated and that will allow basically that's a form of owner financing and on your terms. And you want to get into it with no money down. And so it's all paperwork at that point. You find a property, you set it up on payments, and you either keep the property yourself and get a tenant buyer for it. They give you a large earnest money, a down payment, which comes out the price that you've given them, and you manage the property. You're going to get cash flow. You may pay the seller $1,000, and the tenant buyer, may be paying you $1,300. So you keep the $300 difference. You may have it under contract with the seller for $100,000, but you have it with your tenant buyer for $20,000. They gave you $12,000 down, so you still have another $8,000 spread at the end of the deal. So it can be done. It's just a different animal than just a flat out wholesale with a cash buyer and you're in and out. Or the funds that real PO of your own money. No, it's just an affiliate that someone reached out to me. They offered the service, and it's been useful for me on some very large deals. So it's not my own money, to answer your question. If someone reached out to me, offered and asked me would I promote the service, and so I looked into it, like what they're doing. So boom, it's legit. Other than bandit signs, how else will you effectively market yourselves? Well, direct mail is probably second behind bandit signs, and that's, as I mentioned before, targeting absentee owners of properties, um, absentee owners list. That's the second thing. And now the way I do it and the way I train my students, because a lot of people buy those same lists, and people run their businesses very successful, but I like to stand out from the crowd whenever I'm doing absentee. And the way we do it is just going to be different than the way anyone else is doing it. So to answer your question, direct mail, and obviously you can do some social media along with website. Those are more detailed, may cost you a little bit more, but those are other options. You don't have to do bandit signs. I'm just telling you that's the best option out there because of the number of people that you can put your message in front of. Now, remember that you can get the courses and coaching. I'm going to share my screen here again, and I can still answer the question or whatever. It's no big deal. All right. Remember 3 payments, 197. We split the first 5 deals 50-50. You can get that at theflipman.com. 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 All right. So let me see here. More questions. What is the difference between a lease option and a lease purchase? For my definition, they're the same thing. It's just a different way of Different way of phrasing it. They're the same thing. Is it wise for someone that's just starting out to work with a realtor that has a listing? If you have the resources and the knowledge, it's a little tricky when you're dealing with realtors. You have to understand the mindset of a realtor is the main thing. Remember that they're in it. They're in it for themselves first. If they tell you anything different, they are lying. They're in it for themselves first. So you have to understand that you use that into your favor. Don't work with a realtor. If you're going to target listed properties, you go directly to the realtor that has the listing so they can get full commission. That automatically puts you at your best advantage you're going to possibly have. If you have your own realtor and they're contacting you and sending you leads, then whatever. Well, let me back up because most people don't know this. This is the way realtors work. All right. You have a listing agent, you have a buyer's agent. Most do both. All right. Whenever you see a property that's listed, that's the listing agent for that client, the person that owns the property. All right. In most cases, it's rare that a realtor will they'll list the property and find a buyer. That's rare. So they depend on other realtors to bring them a buyer. By doing so, the commission on the property may be 6%, but if another realtor brings a buyer, they split that commission. So now instead of making 6% on the property, they're making 3%. They still have to split it with a broker unless they're their own broker. So when you contact the listing agent directly and you don't bring a realtor to the table to represent your side of it, they get to keep their entire amount. So now they have a lot of negotiating room that they can recommend or give their opinion to the owner that, hey, we may accept this deal because they want to get paid and they don't have to share. It works really well in commercial real estate because of the astronomical numbers that you deal with. When you send them over an LOI, a letter of intent, and it says buyer will pay listing agent 2.5%, they call you to confirm, is that saying what I think it's saying? So that gives them an opportunity because they only normally making 2% on $1 million property, and they split that so it's only 1%. Or it may be 3% and they split that as 1.5%. So it varies. It may be 4%, but normally when you start getting 7 figures or high 6 figures, the commission goes down lower. It's not as rarely as 6% on that type of money. But so they already have the client. You contacted them about a property that they own, but you're saying, hey, I'm gonna pay you 2.5%, and your client still can pay the 2. So they make 4.5%. So yeah, they're gonna work in your favor because they're about to kick some butt on commission. So to answer your question, yeah, you can, but you need to know what you're doing. There's a lot of factors going in, but the first thing you have to understand about realtors is just understanding their mindset. All right. Someone says, which vanity signs are more effective, handwritten or printed? I'm going to say printed, and I have a video out there on YouTube that says handwritten is just as good, but printed are so cheap now. Most people don't know how to do handwritten. That's the problem. They don't know how to use the right color corrugated plastic. They want to use yellow instead of white. White is always better. They don't know how to use the same marker. So I just stray away from just telling people to do it when they're targeting sellers. So printed are better. Now when you're trying to advertise a property, you still need to be aware of what type of markers and the right color to use as far as the corrugated plastic. I always like to do white with red and blue on top. As you can see on the screen here, it's either black, white, red, or blue, because those colors people can see easily. So to answer your question, print it. All right, someone says, have you used Craigslist to find motive? I've never had any success with that. But as I mentioned earlier in the Flippinar, and I have a video on YouTube, just go to YouTube and do a search for turn $10 into $6,444. You'll see where I had a student in Memphis. He found a property by placing an ad on Craigslist, and he turned that into $6,444.40 in a matter of 25 days. But I've personally never had any success with it. All right. Someone says, will this work for someone new to this? Living on a fixed income. I've taken and spent a lot of money that I guess can't afford and still only get um, left with more questions. Well, the thing is, it sounds like you may be knowledgeable. You're just afraid to make a move, and you're afraid to make a mistake. You can't be afraid to make a mistake. I make mistakes, and I've been doing this almost 14 years. You're probably knowledgeable enough to do a deal, but afraid to just make a move. Um, you're not going to get hurt. This is the great thing about it. You're not going to get hurt doing this because after your first deal, you're in the black. You're profitable. Not many businesses allow you to do that. I'm not sure how more clear I can be on that. You sound like you're probably knowledgeable. You just need to take action. You may have questions. I'm not sure who you paid your money to. They're not answering the questions. There's nothing I can do about that part of it. But when I started, I had a ton of questions. I didn't have anyone to tap into. I bought a bootleg course. Ron LeGrand probably want to kill me. If I ever meet him, I'm going to give him his money. But because that information changed my financial life. But I had more questions than answers after going through all that information. It was great information, but I still had more questions than answers. But I wasn't afraid to take action. That was to Everett. What's the best choice? All right, I guess they mean what's the best to do a short sale with a dead person while in probate? Well, you first have to allow it to clear the probate situation. You'll be wasting your time. Short sales take a lot of patience. So that's the first thing you have to do is make sure that you allow the probate situation to clear first before you even pursue it. In my opinion, if I understand you correctly. Which have worked best for you? Letters, postcards, pay per click. Letters just because they're cheaper. Pay per click is so out of hand now. And now the way I do letters is different from the way everyone else does it. So to answer your question, letters, which have worked best for you? Letters, postcards, pay per click. That was the question. How do you attract sellers on social media? That's still a work in progress for me. I'm not sure if I'll ever share that because um, a lot of people are not doing it, but it can be very effective. I share it with students, let me say that. But just me doing a video, and I don't know, I may be, I don't know. But to answer your question, don't sleep on it. There's a lot of information out there on how to do that. But yeah, social media is definitely a way to attract sellers. Do you need a memorandum of contract? That's going to be a personal thing. I've never had a buyer to go around me, but I've heard other people do it, people that have experienced that. But I've never had that to do. I hope they do that to me. Seller and the buyer. Someone said, "What's the best way to approach the bank when a house is in probate to get a good deal?" So you just have to make an offer. The question was, what's the best way to approach the bank when a house is in probate to get a good deal? So you may wholesale it or rehab it. You have to make an offer. Now, I understand when you're dealing with a bank, they're going to have a realtor involved in most cases. So you're going to deal with the realtor, but you're still have to make an offer. And that normally going to include earnest money, proof of funds, and so on. But again, you understand you're dealing with a realtor and their thought process and how to let you do things. Someone says, how long is the 3 monthly payments last? It's just 3 months, every 30 days. I assume that's what you mean. How do you find people you can trust in other markets to do deals? Um, I'm not sure what you mean by that. On that question, Kenneth, I'm not sure what you mean by that. The only thing that I do outside of I don't do residential outside of my market. I'm not the authoritarian on that. But commercial, everything is outside of my market. So you're dealing with brokers, and hey, they have a lot to lose. So um, as far as residential, I don't have a I don't ever do that. Not saying it can't be done. It's just not my thing. Normally, it's enough meat on the bone in your own market that you don't ever have to go outside your market. If you start going outside your market, I think it's time to start looking into commercial real estate. Personally, that's just my 2 cents on it. All right, how do you make sure your first deal won't go south and cost you a ton of money or a lawsuit? I'm not sure if it goes south, why would it cost you? Um, I think this is PJ. I'm not sure why it would cost you, or why would you be sued. That's what the contract is for. If you don't perform, they keep the earnest money. They go your way, you go your way. You can't control. You can close a deal and someone can still sue you. You can close a deal and they still sue you. You can't control that. But if you have a contract and if you didn't perform, they keep the earnest money. You go to your way, they go their way. That's it. You can't control what someone files for the lawsuit. Do they have a legitimate grounds to win a lawsuit is the question. Will the bank hold off on a foreclosure while the property is in probate? That'll vary from bank to bank, I'm sure. I'm not sure. That's something you just call and find out on it. That's what I would do. Just call and find out what are their intentions. Before you get too deep in it, find out what are their intentions. Just call and ask that you're interested in buying the property. Are they going to foreclose on the property? Is an LLC a good way to protect you or a land trust? Yeah, I guess you can always put yourself in an LLC, but it's going to only be as strong as your LLC and how it was prepared. Again, man, you can't this fear stuff. You can't prevent people from suing you. If they have an effective enough attorney, they can get around even an LLC. So don't let that prevent you from getting in this game. Don't let that. I don't. Maybe I have the wrong attitude about it, but again, don't let that prevent you from getting in this game. Think you need to do this or that. Get out there and just start doing it, people. Man, I've been doing this 14 years. Just get out there and do it. I don't know what else to say on that. Will a proof of funds letter work? I use them weekly. Yes, yes, they do work. Do you have to be a real estate agent to wholesale houses? No, you don't. You do not have to be a real estate agent to wholesale houses. I've been doing it almost 14 years and I do not have a license. You are an investor. You don't have to have a license to invest in real estate. That simply answers your question. Someone said, can we put down the first payment of 197 tomorrow morning? Yeah, as long as three people. I don't have three people signed up. Yes, just text me. You see my number uh, in the other. So just text me, and yeah, you can do that. It's not an issue. Are you asking? You said whose funds are those? It's the service that provides it. The guys. It's in the video that you see there on realpof.com. It's not your funds. They're just lending their information that they have the funds available so you can get offers accepted. You're not going to have access to the funds. The funds are only going to be used to get offers submitted and possibly accepted. How would this affect someone that has a real estate license? I'm really not sure what you mean by that. Um, if you have a real estate license, what are their disadvantages? I guess the only disadvantage with being a realtor is that you do have to disclose that you are, whenever you're doing any deals, so I don't know if that's going to affect you negatively or not. Someone says, how do you find an investor-friendly title company? Well, I always recommend to my students don't worry about that part of it, because a lot of times you don't dictate that. You're going to be dealing with seasoned buyers in most cases, and you'll just piggyback off the relationships that they already have in place, and because they're going to dictate where they close because they're paying closing costs. So you don't even worry about that. If you got a seller and buyer in place, getting someone to close it is the least of your worries. Okay, again, guys, the three payments are $197, taking three tonight. TheFlipMan.com. Split the first 5 deals. You obviously can get that without that, but I'm just making it available on the. You don't want to split deals, you can just go to flipman.net and sign up for the regular price, and you keep 100%. I'm still going to coach you the same. Yeah, Ty, is the coaching included on the 5 split deals? Yes, it is included. It's included. Again, if you're interested in getting into the commercial side of the game, just go to flipthisbuilding.com. Have some more informative videos there. Flipthisbuilding.com. Someone said, do you do title searches on all your properties, and what's the best way to save money on searching? Starting out, if you don't have the money, I recommend don't even worry about that. Wait till you get a buyer, and that process starts with the buyer. Sometimes the title come back and there's not you can't clear it. That will be the situation regardless. And buyers understand that. They understand sometimes you can't clear. So starting out, if you don't have the money, don't worry about it until you get a buyer in place and you go down that road at that point. Again, guys, take advantage of the 3 easy payments of $197. We split the first 5 deals. You can access that at theflipman.com. I think we're questioned out. So not going to be on next week, Thanksgiving. Weekend, I hope everyone enjoys their family if you celebrate it. And be back on the week after. I think that's December 1st is the date. Again, you can take advantage of the 3 easy payments of $197. And we split the first 5 deals. You can get that at theflipman.com. I appreciate everyone coming out again. And I'll see you on the flip side. Flip man out.